Hello everyone and welcome to English Banisa. In today's video, we are going to explore the fascinating journey of Satyajit Ray, one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. So in this video, we'll dive into his reflections from his book Our Films, Their Films, where he shares his experiences, challenges and insights into filmmaking. So let's get started. But before that, let's know about the Satyajit Ray. Satyajit Ray was one of India's most celebrated filmmakers, renowned for his realistic storytelling, deep humanism, and artistic precision. A master of visual storytelling, Ray made a significant mark in world cinema, earning international recognition with films such as Pather Panchali, Aprajito, and The Music Room. His cinematic style was influenced by Italian new realism and Bengali literature and also global authors. Before becoming a filmmaker, Ray worked in advertising and was also an illustrator, writer, and a composer. If we talk about the excerpt from Our Films, Their Films, it's taken from his 1976 book Our Film, Their Films, where Satyajit Ray provides a reflective account of his journey as a filmmaker. We can say it's an autobiography of Satyajit Ray, where he addresses two fundamental questions. The first one, why he transitioned from advertising to filmmaking, and the second one, who influenced his cinematic vision the most. He also explains how his passion for storytelling and the visual medium led him to step into the world of cinema, leaving behind his stable career in advertising. He acknowledges the various artistic and cinematic influences that shaped his filmmaking style, emphasizing the significance of realism and narrative depth. So many of you might be surprised to know Ray did not start as a filmmaker. In fact, he worked in an advertising agency before stepping into cinema. While the shift from an advertising agency to filmmaking may have seemed abrupt and arbitrary to an outsider, but Satyajit Ray had a strong conviction about this transition. After spending 10 years in the film industry, he saw it as a natural progression, driven by his deep interest in storytelling and visual art. He believed that filmmaking allowed him to explore human emotions and narratives in a way that advertising could not. And his exposure to world cinema, particularly the works of Jane Renoir and Vittorio De Sica, further commented his passion for filmmaking. Any beginner, Ray also faced many challenges when he started making his first film, Pather Panchali. But one moment stood out as a powerful lesson for him. That is the first shot of Pather Panchali, which served as an eye opener for Ray. He realizes that the process of filmmaking was far more challenging than he had anticipated. Experience taught him that capturing realism required patience, adaptability, and understanding of human behavior. So the lesson was invaluable and shaped his approach to filmmaking, that emphasizing observation and authenticity. And he considered selecting this story was a wise decision for him because it was deeply rooted in Indian culture. Ray considered it was a movie to select Pather Panchali as his first film because the story was deeply rooted in Bengali culture, a world he was familiar with because he belongs to Bengal. So the novel by Vibhuti Bhushan resonated with Ray's artistic sensibilities and allowed him to craft a film with emotional depth and authenticity. He believed that starting with a well known and culturally rich story provided a strong foundation for his filmmaking career, and that's happened. After spending a decade in filmmaking, Ray developed a strong philosophy on what cinema truly is. So Ray stated that he had no quarrel with definition of cinema, as the most complete and expressive of the arts. He believed that cinema combined elements of literature, theater, music, and painting, that making it a powerful medium for storytelling. For Ray, a great film was one that could capture the complexities of human life while maintaining artistic integrity. So, filmmaking isn't just about creativity, it's also about problem solving. Ray himself faced technical challenges, especially during the shoot of Pather Panchali. Despite possessing the required critical knowledge, Ray found filmmaking extremely difficult at first. On the first day of shooting Pather Panchali, he faced numerous challenges, including working with actors and dealing with technical limitations. He soon realizes that theoretical knowledge alone was insufficient. Practical experience was essential. So during the shoot, Ray requested a crane to capture a particular shot. However, while returning the crane, a tragic accident occurred that highlighting the unpredictable nature of filmmaking. So this incident reinforced Ray's belief that filmmaking required immense perseverance and the ability to adapt to unforeseen circumstances. Many critics held the illusion that film needed grand sets, dramatic performances, and elaborate cinematography to be effective. So Ray broke this illusion by proving that simplicity and realism could be just as powerful. So his film demonstrated that compelling storytelling and authentic performances were more important than extravagant production. During interviews, Ray was often asked about his artistic choices, influences, and Ray was often asked if he would make films in languages other than Bengali. So his answer was quite interesting because Ray believed that making a film in a language one is not fluent in was highly challenging. So he argued that language is not just a tool for dialogue but also carries cultural and emotional nuances that are difficult to capture unless the filmmaker is deeply familiar with it. So, for this reason, he preferred to make films in Bengali, a language he fully understood and could use effectively to express emotions and ideas because he belongs to Bengal. He also had a strong view on the new wave cinema movement. So, he observed that new wave films had a rough quality to them, primarily due to the use of inexperienced actors, low budget production, and unconventional storytelling. However, he noted that this lack of polish often transformed into a unique strength as it gave the films a sense of raw authenticity. New wave cinema, particularly of France and Italy, broke traditional norms and redefined film aesthetic, proving that compelling stories could be told with minimal resources. So, as we all heard many times that every great artist learns from others. So, who influenced Ray the most? So, according to Ray, a filmmaker does not merely imitate others but observe essential lessons from them. He believed that true influence came from understanding storytelling techniques, framing, and pacing, and emotional depth rather than copying styles. So he was influenced by filmmakers like Jane Renoir and Vittorio De Sica, whose works emphasize realism and humanism. So after a decade in the film industry, Ray had learned that filmmaking was a continuous process of discovery. He understood the importance of patience, adaptability, and meticulous planning. He also realized that capturing human emotion authentically required keen observation and sensitivity. Another interesting comparison is between Ray and the Italian filmmaker is the Italian films were visually stunning but lacked the emotional depth. So, after 10 years in filmmaking, what did Ray ultimately learn is filmmaking requires balancing art and practicality. Ray believes cinema should capture human behavior authentically. And he also shares the kind of cinema Ray intended to make. That is, the films that were deeply human, rich in realism, and emotionally compelling. He wanted his cinema to reflect real life rather than relying on exaggerated drama or artificial storytelling techniques. His films focus on everyday struggles, relationships, and the beauty of simplicity. Satyajit Ray's reflection in making films provide an in-depth look into his journey as a filmmaker, the challenges he faced, and the lesson he learned over a decade in the industry. His transition from advertising to filmmaking was driven by his passion for storytelling and visual expression. He believed that cinema was the most complete form of art that's combining the elements of literature, music, theater, and painting. His experiences during the making of Pather Panchali taught him valuable lessons about patience, realism, and adaptability. So, Ray's insight into language, new wave cinema, and filmmaking techniques highlight his deep understanding of the craft. He argued that making films in an unfamiliar language posed significant challenges and that new wave films, despite their roughness, brought a fresh perspective to cinema. He also compared different filmmaking styles, stating that storytelling and emotional depth ensured a film's longevity. So, through his experiences, Ray demonstrated that true filmmaking required more than technical skills. It demanded observation, sensitivity, and a deep connection to human emotions. His works continue to be celebrated for their realism, simplicity, and timeless appeal, commenting his legacy as one of the greatest filmmakers in his history of cinema. So this is all for today's video, filmmaking by Satyajit Ray. I hope it would be helpful for you. Stay tuned for more videos and thanks for watching.